Hi, today I'd like to show you a tool that I've been working on called treedocs. First, let's talk about tree. Tree is something that you've probably heard of before, where I can just put in a simple command like that, and then get a tree output of all of the files and folders within my project. Now, I've realized that tree is a fantastic way to give context to myself, but also to AI agents. In one fell swoop, they can see everything in here and they can know where a file is within the context and have a generally good idea of how it's useful. However, these are just file and folder names, and they don't necessarily tell you what the purpose of each file and folder is. I really wished that I could just simply put a little description next to each one of these files and folders. And so that's exactly what I built here. All that we do is type in tree docs. And now we have a couple of things. Same tree output, just like before, files and folders. I like to always have an explicit trailing slash. That way it makes it even more clear that this is a folder. And now we have a description of each file and folder. There's no magic here. These are not automatically defined by anything. You get to decide what the description is. Now, then that helps anybody new on your team. They can immediately have a great view to get them acclimated to the code base. It also helps acclimate your future self when you come back to a project that you haven't looked at in a long time. And it's super helpful for agents. And of course, I can give it a path, so I don't have to look at the entire project. What if I only want to get acclimated with a part of it? So let's say tree docs sources, and there you go. Now I'm looking at just the sources part. Now, where are these descriptions being defined? Well, the answer is that we have a small little text file that we defined called treedocs.yaml. And we can look at it right now, treedocs.yaml. And what treedocs does is it parses this and then it turns it into the docs. And there's really nothing all that special. It has a little bit of metadata at the top. And then everything is under this tree key. And then each key below it is just the name of a file or a folder. And any child key is just another file or folder. And that's really about it. You can learn the whole thing very quickly, or you can even have an agent help you write and update your treedocs.yaml. This, of course, is version controllable with Git. And we have a lot of tooling to help you along the way. So let's look at how I would go about using this in a project. Okay, now let's use treedocs on a project that has never used treedocs before. Now I'm inside of a project called Markdown Utilities, and I've never used treedocs, so let's see what happens. You'll see that it says, hey, we can't use this because you don't have a treedocs.yaml file. No problem. All you need to do is first run treedocs init. So let's go ahead and give that a try. Treedocs init. So what treedocs init does is it gives us a new treedocs.yaml file. Let's go ahead and have a look at what that looks like. Here's the file. It's pretty intuitive. It's just a little bit of metadata at the top. And then the rest of it is just this tree key, which is every folder or file in the project, and just a bunch of strings to describe files or folders. Files can just have a string directly on the key, and a folder we'll have this underscore doc key, and that will be the description for the folder. So now we just fill in all of these strings. You can fill it in directly in your text editor, which isn't too hard, but we have a little bit of tooling to make that a little easier. Let's see what happens when we use treedocs sync for the first time. Now, treedocs sync, what it does is it synchronizes the file system with your treedocs.yaml. And it also helps you find issues like, are there any missing descriptions and so forth. And if there are, then it will tell you to update those. And in fact, it will even allow you to update it directly in line in an interactive format. So treedocs sync, and it has found all of the files and folders that need to be updated, and it even has a suggested description for some of them. So I can use the suggested description, and I can use this suggested description, and I can save all of these, and then it will save it directly to the file. As you'll see, this one's going to take quite a bit of time because I have a lot that I need to update for the first time. So you can go ahead and fast forward, and then I'm going to save it to my file. I finally got to the bottom, and here's the save button, and I just hit save, and treedocs has saved those strings to my file. So I can see them here, and here's one of the descriptions for the .getignore file. Okay, but we want to make that even easier. So I find that one of the best ways is to have an agent write the first draft for me, and then I can check it for errors. They're usually pretty good at writing things, and then sometimes I'll have very specific instructions or guidelines for a file or folder that I want to put in myself. And to help with this, we have treedocs prompts fill, and this is a helpful prompt telling the agent how to fill in missing descriptions, and it will even tell them that these are all of the paths that are missing a description. So let's go ahead and try that in my agent right here. I'm going to go to the shell mode, treedocs prompts fill. And this shell is running in the exact same folder as this one. It's the mdutils folder. Go ahead and hit enter. And I'm going to say, please help me fill in my treedocs.yaml file. And that's about it. I'm going to let it do its thing. And it usually takes about 2 to 3 minutes. So let's come back. And there you have it. Now it has filled in my treedocs for me. So let's have a look. Here's all of the descriptions. And they seem to be pretty accurate. But of course, I want to check it manually later. Let's also look at what this looks like in the actual treedocs. Some other things I want to highlight. Do you see how all of these are green? If there is an issue, then treedocs will turn it red or yellow. Red for errors, yellow for warnings. You can configure what you consider a warning or an error. And let's watch what happens if I delete a key. If I go to here and I delete this key, and I go to treedocs. You'll see that there's this helpful warning right here, and it shows, hey, there's a discrepancy between your file system and the current treedocs.yaml file. And you can run treedocs check to see exactly what the issue is. So let's look at treedocs check. And here it is. You're missing a path. So run treedocs sync. Let's go ahead and do that. And now it says, hey, I found the path. I added the path for you. And now you're missing a description. So go ahead and fill in the description. So now I can go ahead and put in the description. I don't remember off the top of my head what marketplace.json is for. I think this is where you configure Claude plugins. And then I can save that. And now when I run treedocs check, then it shows me, hooray, everything's up to date. So the point of this is that treedocs not only gives you documentation, but it automatically checks itself to make sure that it is up to date. And this is especially helpful when you have it installed as a git pre-commit hook, because that way every single time I hit commit, it will force me to check my treedocs and make sure that everything is up to date. If it's not up to date, then I'm not going to be able to commit, and that is fantastic. Now, one last thing that I want to show you. I just added a feature called treedocs explore. And what this did was it created a tree, but you'll notice that everything is collapsed. All of these folders are not expanded. And so if I want to expand it, all that I need to do is hand it subpaths. So I can say, well, I don't really care about the .claude folder because that's not really part of what I'm doing right now, but I do care about sources. And so now we have the sources. Oh, I got to do treedocs explore sources. That's what I meant to do. And so explore shows the same tree with everything collapsed except for the sources. And now I can say, oh, actually, I care about, I'm working on the CLI, which is in my md-utils, and I'm not working on the library right now, so I want to expand this one, but not this one. So tree docs, explore, sources, md-utils. And so I can peek further and further. Now, this is somewhat useful or helpful for humans, but it's especially useful for agents. What we are doing here is something called progressive disclosure. And what this means is if you give way too much information to a human or an agent, it's just overwhelming, overload, right? But I mean, look at this. There's just so much text to go through. And it can be very helpful, but a lot of it is irrelevant to the current task that I'm working on. So instead, what we can do is we can collapse everything with treedocs explore, and then we can expand only the parts that are relevant to what we're working on. And treedocs explore enables humans and agents to do that. So those are some of the things that I've worked on with treedocs. More features to come. Please give me your feedback. Please give it a star on GitHub. Please install it and let me know what you think.